So now that we've moved the monitor into leads with the idea that we're going to put the limb leads on, over here we're going to pull the limb leads out, and you can see that there are 4 wires here of leads. 2 go on the arms and 2 go on the legs. For our purposes, we also use these 4 leads in conjunction with our chest leads to make a 12 lead. And so it's imperative that we put these in about the right location. For electrodes, it's best to put those on the limb leads first so you don't have to push on the patient. And 2 of these will go up on the shoulder. The best place for these is going to be on our model here. Is going to be above where the blood pressure cuff is on the skin, where there isn't hair and there isn't bone. So generally up in this region, up in here, is where those are going to go on the arms. So we simply just take the electrodes off of the paper and we stick them where there's not hair and there's not bone, up above where the blood pressure cuff is. The other 2 limb leads are going to go on the lower extremities, and ideally if you can put it on the outside or the inside of the calf, or the lateral or medial side. So I'm going to stick these on the medial side of the calf, appropriate to the limb lead location that it's supposed to go to. Once we do that, we've already moved this out of pads and into limb leads, and you can see that we have a 3-lead EKG with the heart rate. So now that we have the patient hooked up to the 4 limb leads, and we've moved out of the pads mode, which is for cardiac arrest, and into our other 99% of our population, the next thing that you can do to help is to put in some patient information. So if we do an electrocardiogram on the patient, we're going to need a patient's last name, their age, and their gender in here. So by hitting the options button, I can come to patient, and remember we just push in here to select anything that we want to select. And then I want a last name in there, so I'm going to put a last name in there. You see I'm just scrolling until I find the letter I want and hit enter. Okay, and then when I'm done, I'm just going to scroll to where it says end and enter. And then I can scroll down to age, and sex, and select. And you can see I have those 3 things in there. And once that's done, then by hitting the home button always brings you back to the main screen. So that just gets rid of that. The last thing we're going to talk about today is these plugins over on this side, which are all unique to themselves. You'll notice that each one of them have a different shape, so there's no way to accidentally put something in the wrong spot. So the first one is at the top, which is the CO2. You can see where it says CO2, and it has a little window here to protect it. And it's designed for this device here, which we use to capture carbon dioxide monitoring for patients. And this has some threads on it, you can see, and a little wing, and you just simply lift up the window and screw it in righty-tighty, and just want it to be just snug. You don't need to over tighten it because that can actually damage the machine. So just snug like that, and that's all that's needed as far as this connection right there. The next one down is the SPO2 right here, and you notice that the connector has a little round divot on the one side, so there's only one way that the device will plug in. So this is the end that goes on the finger, and this is the end that goes on the LIFEPAK. And you'll notice that on one side here there's a little divot there. That divot is going to match up with the one that's on the machine, and you'll hear it click in when it's seated. To remove it, there's 2 little prongs on the side right here that I'm pushing, and then you just nice and carefully remove it. These are pretty fragile in the sense that they have a lot of pins in them, and so you want to make sure that you match them up correctly, put it in so that it clicks, and then to remove it, we squeeze on the little gray toggles and you can pull it out. The last item is the blood pressure cuff, which is right here, and we can see that's the piece that goes on the patient, and this is the piece that connects to the LIFEPAK, and we simply just go and push it into the hole until it clicks. And then to undo it, you'll notice right over here is a little lever, and I'm just simply using my thumb to push the lever in, and then you can just pull it right out. So it snaps in, and then push the lever to release it. So the last connection that we want to talk about is in the defib module here, and it's important to recognize that your pads and brand of defibrillator is different than ours, and that is the reason for this yellow piece. This yellow piece converts our cable to your pads so that if you get there first, we can use your pads and simply just plug right into this this connector here. If we get there, we're going to pull. If we get there first, many times we're going to pull this off, and we're going to put our own pads here, which is our brand, into this connection here. And you'll notice on this connection, whether you're plugging this in and out or you're plugging the pads in and out, there's a little arrow on the side here, and there's an arrow on either the adapter here or on the pads, which I'll show you in just a second. You just simply line those two things up, and that will allow you to plug it in. It's going to be stiff to pull it out because it's not supposed to fall out. If we look at a set of pads from our defibrillator, which are different brand than yours, with a different connector, this goes directly in here, and once again you can see the black arrows. We're going to line those up. That's a common problem in the middle of a high intensity call trying to plug this thing in, and the key is to line up the two black arrows and it will slide in together. So in summary, we talked about some extra things that get hooked up on top of the end title CO2, which is the orange adapter that twists into here. There's the oxygen saturation, which is this red device that we use the shape, and we match the shape up here. We have a blood pressure cuff that goes into this hole here and can be released by pushing on this button here. And then we talked about the adapter for your AEDs and the connector that goes to our defibrillator pad.